The late afternoon sun filtered through the stained glass windows of Greater Faith Baptist Church in Atlanta, casting kaleidoscopic patterns across the polished wooden pews. Maya Johnson stood in the bride's preparation room, her trembling fingers smoothing down the intricate lace of her ivory wedding gown. At 32, she had waited for this moment her entire life, the moment she would become Mrs. Marcus Williams. Outside, the humid Georgia air carried the sweet fragrance of magnolias mixed with the distant hum of traffic on Peachtree Street. Inside, gospel music swelled from the organ, filling every corner of the sanctuary with joyful anticipation. 200 guests filled the pews, their faces lit with excitement, their Sunday best creating a sea of vibrant colors and elegant fabrics. Maya's reflection stared back at her from the full-length mirror. Her dark skin glowed against the white dress, her natural curls styled into an elegant updo adorned with small white roses. Her makeup artist had enhanced her high cheekbones and full lips perfectly. She looked beautiful. She knew that. But beneath the carefully applied foundation, anxiety churned in her stomach like a relentless tide. "Girl, you look absolutely stunning," her best friend Keisha said, adjusting Maya's veil with practiced care. "Marcus is going to lose his mind when he sees you walking down that aisle." Maya forced a smile, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Do you think he's nervous too?" "Baby, every groom is nervous. That's just how it is." Keisha squeezed her shoulder reassuringly. "This is your day. Everything is perfect." But everything wasn't perfect. Maya had felt it for weeks now, a subtle distance in Marcus's eyes, a hesitation in his kisses, moments where he seemed to be somewhere else entirely, even when he was right beside her. She had pushed those feelings down, blamed them on wedding stress, convinced herself it was just pre-ceremony jitters affecting them both. The door opened, and her younger sister Simone swept in, her bridesmaid dress, a deep emerald that complemented her lighter complexion, fitting her curves perfectly. At 28, Simone had always been the one who turned heads. Where Maya was reserved and thoughtful, Simone was vivacious and magnetic. Where Maya built her career slowly and deliberately as a social worker, Simone had skyrocketed through the Atlanta fashion scene as a buyer for a luxury boutique. "They're ready for you," Simone announced, her voice carrying that familiar musical quality that had always made people lean in to listen. Her eyes met Maya's in the mirror, and for just a fraction of a second, something flickered there, something Maya couldn't quite name. "How does Marcus look?" Maya asked, hating how small her voice sounded. Simone's perfectly glossed lips curved into a smile. "Handsome as ever. You're a lucky woman, sis." The words should have comforted her. Instead, they landed like stones in Maya's chest. The wedding coordinator, a brisk white woman named Ellen, appeared in the doorway. "It's time, ladies." "Maya, your father is waiting." Maya's father, Robert Johnson, stood at the entrance to the sanctuary in his best suit, his salt and pepper hair freshly cut, his eyes glistening with unshed tears. He had worked double shifts at the Postal Service for 30 years to give his daughters everything they needed. Now, he was about to walk his eldest daughter down the aisle. "You look just like your mother did on our wedding day," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. She would be so proud. Maya felt tears threatening to ruin her makeup. Her mother had passed 5 years ago from breast cancer, and her absence today felt like a physical weight on Maya's shoulders. The music changed. The bridesmaids began their procession. Simone went first, her confident stride carrying her down the aisle as heads turned to watch. Then Keisha, then Maya's cousin Tanya. "Ready, baby girl?" her father asked. Maya nodded, though her hands trembled as she took his arm. The double doors opened, and the entire congregation rose to their feet. The traditional wedding march filled the air. Maya's eyes immediately found Marcus at the altar, standing tall in his tailored charcoal suit, his dark skin gleaming, his broad shoulders squared. He was everything she had dreamed of, intelligent, ambitious, respectful. They had met 3 years ago at a community fundraiser, bonded over their shared commitment to uplifting their community, and built what Maya thought was an unshakable foundation. But as she walked toward him, step by measured step, she watched his face. And what she saw made her blood run cold. Marcus wasn't looking at her with joy or anticipation. His eyes were fixed on her. Yes, but there was something desperate in his gaze, something that looked almost like panic. His jaw clenched and unclenched. A bead of sweat rolled down his temple despite the church's air conditioning. Maya's father delivered her to the altar, kissed her cheek, and took his seat in the front pew. She turned to face Marcus, her hands finding his. They were ice cold. Reverend Thompson, who had known both families for decades, opened his Bible and smiled warmly at the congregation. "Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today in the sight of God and these witnesses to join Marcus Darius Williams and Maya Elizabeth Johnson in holy matrimony." Maya tried to focus on the words, on the sacredness of the moment, but her attention kept drifting to Marcus's face. He was staring at her, but his eyes seemed unfocused, as if he were looking through her rather than at her. "Marriage is not to be entered into lightly," Reverend Thompson continued, "but reverently, deliberately, and in accordance with the purposes for which it was instituted by God." The ceremony progressed through the traditional beats, the scripture readings, the sermon about love and commitment. Maya's hands grew slick with perspiration inside Marcus's grip. Finally, the moment arrived for the vows. "Marcus," Reverend Thompson said, "do you take Maya to be your lawfully wedded wife, to have and to hold from this day forward, for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do you part?" The sanctuary fell silent. 200 people held their breath. Marcus opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. His voice cracked. He cleared his throat. His eyes darted to the first row of bridesmaids, where Simone stood watching with an expression Maya couldn't read. Marcus tried again. Maya's heart hammered against her ribs. "Marcus?" she whispered. And then he said it. The words that would replay in Maya's mind for the rest of her life. The words that would shatter her world into irreparable pieces. "I married the wrong sister." The sanctuary erupted. Gasps rippled through the pews like a wave. Someone screamed. Maya heard her father's voice raised in shock and anger. Keisha rushed forward, but Maya stood frozen, her mind unable to process what had just happened. Marcus's face crumpled. "I'm sorry," he choked out, his voice breaking. "God, Maya, I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I never meant to hurt you. But I can't do this. I can't marry you when I'm in love with—" He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Maya's eyes found Simone in that moment, and what she saw there confirmed everything. Her sister's face was pale, her eyes wide with tears, her hand pressed against her mouth. But there was no surprise in her expression, only guilt. The sanctuary descended into chaos. Maya's Aunt Lorraine was shouting. Marcus's mother was crying. Reverend Thompson was trying to restore order. But Maya heard none of it. The world had narrowed to a pinpoint, just her, standing in her wedding dress, and the crushing realization that the two people she loved most had betrayed her in the most devastating way possible. She didn't remember pulling off her veil. She didn't remember gathering her dress and running down the aisle. She didn't remember pushing through the heavy wooden doors and stumbling out into the parking lot, where the Atlanta heat hit her like a physical blow. All she remembered was the sound of her own heart breaking. Maya sat in her Honda Civic in the church parking lot, her wedding dress bunched around her in clouds of white fabric, her carefully styled hair already beginning to fall from its pins. The sun hung low in the sky now, painting everything in shades of orange and gold. Through the car windows, she could hear muffled chaos from inside the church. Raised voices, crying, the sound of her world collapsing. Her hands shook as she pulled her phone from the small clutch she'd carried down the aisle. 17 missed calls, 32 text messages. She couldn't bring herself to look at any of them. A knock on the window made her jump. Keisha stood there, her emerald bridesmaid dress slightly disheveled, mascara streaking her cheeks. Maya unlocked the door, and Keisha slid into the passenger seat without a word. For a long moment, they just sat there in silence. "I'm taking you home," Keisha finally said. "I can't go home," Maya whispered. "All my things are at Marcus's apartment. We were supposed to leave for our honeymoon tomorrow morning. Barbados. I have a suitcase packed with sundresses and swimsuits and—" Her voice broke. "God, Keisha, what just happened?" Keisha reached over and gripped Maya's hand so tightly it hurt. "You're coming to my place. We'll figure everything else out later." "Did you know?" The question came out sharper than Maya intended. "What? No!" Keisha's eyes widened with genuine shock. "Maya, I swear on everything I love, I had no idea. None of us did." Maya wanted to believe her. She needed to believe her. Because if Keisha had known, if her best friend since high school had kept this secret, Maya didn't think she could survive it. The passenger door suddenly opened, and Simone stood there, tears streaming down her face, her hands clutching at the doorframe. "Maya, please, let me explain. Get away from her." Keisha lunged across the seat, her face contorted with rage. "You have some nerve showing your face right now. I need to talk to my sister." Simone's voice rose to match Keisha's fury. Maya found her voice, and it came out cold and steady in a way that surprised even her. "You are not my sister anymore." Simone flinched as if she'd been struck. "Maya, please, you don't understand." "What don't I understand, Simone?" Maya turned to look at her fully now, and the expression on her face made Simone take a step back. "Help me understand how my sister and my fiancé fell in love behind my back. Please, enlighten me." "It wasn't like that," Simone sobbed. "We tried to fight it. We both tried so hard." "How long?" Maya's voice cut through the parking lot like a blade. Simone's silence was answer enough. "How long?" 6 months, Simone whispered. The number hung in the air like a death sentence. 6 months. Half a year. While Maya had been planning seating charts and choosing flowers and writing vows, the two people she trusted most had been carrying on behind her back. "Get out of my sight," Maya said quietly. "If you ever loved me, if I ever meant anything to you, you'll leave me alone." Simone stood frozen for a moment, then turned and fled back toward the church, her sobs echoing across the asphalt. Keisha started the car. "Let's get you out of here." The drive to Keisha's apartment in Midtown felt both eternal and instantaneous. Maya stared out the window as familiar Atlanta streets blurred past. The restaurants where she and Marcus had shared meals. The park where he'd proposed on one knee 6 months ago. The coffee shop where they'd spent Sunday mornings reading the paper together. 6 months ago. The same time it had started. He had proposed to her while already in love with her sister. The realization hit Maya like a physical blow, and she doubled over in the passenger seat, a wounded sound escaping her throat. "Breathe," Keisha commanded, one hand on the wheel, one hand on Maya's back. "Just breathe, honey. In and out. That's it." By the time they reached Keisha's building, Maya had cried so hard she had given herself a pounding headache. She stumbled out of the car, her dress catching on the door, and heard the sound of fabric ripping. She didn't care. Keisha's apartment was a sanctuary of neutral colors and comfortable furniture. Maya collapsed onto the couch, and Keisha immediately began working on the dozens of tiny buttons running down the back of the wedding dress. "This dress cost $2,000, Maya said numbly. "I don't care if it costs $2 million. We're getting you out of it." Finally free from the gown, Maya stood in just her strapless bra and shapewear, her body feeling foreign to her. Keisha handed her a pair of sweatpants and an oversized t-shirt. "Shower," Keisha instructed. "Take as long as you need. I'll make us some tea." Under the hot spray, Maya finally let herself completely break down. She sank to the floor of the shower and sobbed until her ribs ached, until her throat was raw, until the water running down the drain was tinged with mascara and foundation. How had she not seen it? She replayed every interaction from the past 6 months in her mind. Had there been signs? There must have been signs. The family barbecue in July, where Marcus and Simone had both arrived late, separately, both looking flushed and making excuses about traffic. The weekend in September when Marcus canceled their anniversary dinner because of a work emergency, and Simone had been unreachable all evening. The Thanksgiving dinner where Maya had caught them standing too close in the kitchen, their voices dropping to whispers when she entered. She had noticed. Some part of her had noticed. But she had loved them both so much that she had explained it all away, convinced herself she was being paranoid, told herself that her sister and her fiancé were just becoming close, because they both loved her. What a fool she had been. When Maya finally emerged from the bathroom, wrapped in a towel with her hair dripping, she found Keisha on the phone, her voice low and intense. I don't care what he wants to say. No, absolutely not. She doesn't need to hear his excuses right now. A pause. Tell him to go to hell. Actually, don't tell him anything. Just hang up. Keisha ended the call and looked at Maya apologetically. Marcus is blowing up my phone. Your dad is blowing up my phone. Half of Atlanta is blowing up my phone. Turn it off, Maya said. Already done. Keisha held up her phone and powered it down. We're going dark. Just you and me and some very strong tea spiked with something stronger. They sat on the couch together, 2 mugs of tea heavily laced with bourbon between them. The sun had fully set now, and the lights of Atlanta twinkled outside Keisha's floor-to-ceiling windows. Tell me something, Maya said after a long silence. Tell me something good. Tell me something that isn't about this disaster. Keisha thought for a moment. Remember senior year when we snuck out to that Outcast concert and your mom caught us climbing back in through your window at 3 a.m? Despite everything, Maya felt a small smile tug at her lips. She grounded me for a month. Worth it, though. That concert was legendary. They sat in silence again, the memory of simpler times hanging between them like a fragile thread connecting past to present. What am I going to do? Maya finally asked, her voice small. Right now? Nothing. You're going to sleep. Tomorrow we'll start figuring it out. But tonight, you just need to survive tonight. Keisha set up the guest room with fresh sheets and extra pillows. She gave Maya one of her mother's old quilts, the kind that smelled like lavender and felt like a hug. She left a glass of water on the nightstand and a bottle of Tylenol for the inevitable headache. I'm right across the hall if you need me, Keisha said from the doorway. Anything at all. Okay. Maya nodded, unable to form words. Alone in the darkness, Maya lay in the unfamiliar bed and stared at the ceiling. Her mind raced with questions she couldn't answer, images she couldn't unsee, futures that would never happen. She wouldn't wake up tomorrow as Mrs. Williams. She wouldn't board a plane to Barbados. She wouldn't start the life she had planned so carefully. Instead, she would wake up as a woman whose fiancé had humiliated her in front of everyone she knew, whose sister had betrayed her in the deepest way possible, whose entire world had shattered in the space of a single sentence. I married the wrong sister. The words echoed in her mind on an endless loop. Outside, Atlanta hummed with its usual Friday night energy, traffic on the highways, music from bars and clubs, the distant wail of sirens. The city carried on, indifferent to her pain. Maya closed her eyes and prayed for sleep that wouldn't come. Maya woke to weak sunlight filtering through unfamiliar curtains and a moment of blessed confusion before reality crashed back over her like a tidal wave. Her eyes felt swollen, her throat raw, her entire body aching as if she'd been in a physical fight. The clock on the nightstand read 11:47 a.m. She had slept, or at least remained in bed, for over 12 hours. Voices drifted from the living room. Keisha wasn't alone. Maya dragged herself out of bed, every movement feeling like she was moving through water. In the bathroom mirror, she barely recognized herself. Her eyes were puffy and bloodshot, her lips chapped, her natural hair a wild halo around her face. When she emerged, she found Keisha and her older brother Derek sitting at the kitchen island, speaking in low, urgent tones. Derek, a criminal defense attorney with a reputation for being ruthless in the courtroom, looked up as Maya entered. His expression softened immediately. "Hey, baby sis," he said gently. Derek had always called her that, even though they weren't related by blood. He and Keisha had grown up next door to Maya's family, and he had appointed himself her protective older brother when they were all kids. "Derek, you didn't have to come," Maya said, her voice hoarse. "Yes, I did." He stood and pulled her into a careful hug. "I heard what happened. The whole city heard what happened." Maya felt her stomach drop. "What do you mean?" Keisha and Derek exchanged a glance. "Someone filmed it," Keisha admitted quietly. "The whole ceremony. It's on social media." Maya's knees buckled and Derek caught her, guiding her to a chair at the island. "How bad?" she whispered. "It's trending," Derek said grimly. "But that's not what we need to focus on right now. We need to focus on practical matters. Your apartment." "It was Marcus's apartment," Maya corrected automatically. "I moved in 6 months ago." Another cruel reminder. She had given up her own place, convinced they were building a future together, right when he and Simone had started their affair. "Okay, so you'll need to get your things out," Derek continued in his lawyer voice, calm and methodical. "I can go with you. We'll schedule a time when Marcus isn't there." "I don't want to go back there," Maya said. "I can't." "Then I'll go," Keisha offered immediately. "Derek and I will pack everything up and bring it here. You can stay with me as long as you need. What about work?" Maya's mind was starting to function again, ticking through all the pieces of her life that would need to be addressed. "I'm supposed to be on my honeymoon for the next 2 weeks. "Already called your office," Keisha said. "Told them there was a family emergency. You're covered." Family emergency. That was one way to put it. Maya's phone sat on the counter, still powered off. She stared at it like it might explode. 73 missed calls when I turned it on this morning to call Derek, Keisha said. "Mostly your dad, some from Marcus, a few from Simone, and a lot of numbers you probably don't want to deal with. Reporters, I'm guessing." "Reporters?" Maya felt like she'd been punched. "The video went viral," Derek explained. "Local news stations are picking it up. Groom confesses love for bride's sister at altar. It's the kind of story that gets clicks." Maya pressed her hands to her face. "This is a nightmare. This has to be a nightmare. It's going to get worse before it gets better," Derek said honestly. "But you're going to get through it. And I'm going to make sure you're protected legally through all of this." "Legally?" Maya looked up at him. "The wedding expenses, the deposits you'll never get back, the emotional distress. Maya, you have options. But first, let's just get you stabilized. One step at a time." Keisha made them all breakfast: scrambled eggs, toast, and turkey bacon. Maya pushed the food around her plate, managing only a few bites. Her phone buzzed. Someone had turned it back on. Before she could stop herself, Maya reached for it. The home screen was flooded with notifications. Against her better judgment, she opened her messages. The first was from her father, sent at 6 a.m. "Baby girl, please call me. I'm worried sick. Your mama would know what to say right now. I just want to know you're okay." Tears pricked Maya's eyes. She quickly typed back, "I'm okay, Daddy. I'm with Keisha. I just need some time." The second message was from Marcus, sent at 2:37 a.m. "Maya, I know you probably never want to hear from me again, and I understand. But please let me explain. What I did was unforgivable. But you deserve to know why. I never stopped caring about you. This wasn't about you not being enough. You are everything anyone could want. But I fell in love with Simone, and I couldn't stand at that altar and lie to you, to God, to everyone. I thought I was doing the right thing by being honest. I see now that I should have been honest months ago. I'm so sorry for the pain I've caused you. You deserve so much better than this." Maya read the message 3 times, each word cutting deeper than the last. The audacity of him to say she deserved better while being the one who destroyed her. It was almost laughable. She scrolled to the next message, this one from Simone, sent at 4:15 a.m. "Maya, I know you hate me. I hate myself. I never wanted to hurt you. I fought these feelings for so long. Marcus fought them too. We both tried to end it multiple times, but we kept being pulled back together. I know that doesn't make it okay. Nothing makes it okay. You're my sister. You're my best friend. And I betrayed you in the worst way possible. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't deserve your forgiveness. But I need you to know that I love you. I've always loved you, and I will regret this for the rest of my life. Don't respond to them," Derek advised, watching her face. "Not yet. Not until you've had time to process." But Maya was already typing, her fingers moving with a fury she didn't know she possessed. To Marcus, "You think being honest at the altar was the right thing? You should have been honest 6 months ago. You should have been honest when you proposed to me while in love with someone else. You should have been honest every single day you lied to my face. Don't contact me again." To Simone, "You're right. You don't deserve my forgiveness, and you won't get it. You made your choice. Now live with it." She hit send on both messages and immediately powered the phone off again, her hands shaking. "Good," Keisha said firmly. They needed to hear that. The rest of Saturday passed in a blur. Derek left to coordinate getting Maya's belongings from Marcus's apartment. Keisha forced Maya to eat soup and drink water. Maya moved through the hours like a ghost, existing but not really living. Sunday morning brought another visitor. Maya heard the raised voices before she saw who it was. Her father, arguing with Keisha at the apartment door. "I'm her father, Keisha. I need to see my daughter." Maya emerged from the guest room. "Daddy, it's okay." Robert Johnson looked like he'd aged 10 years overnight. His eyes were red-rimmed, his shoulders slumped. The moment he saw Maya, tears spilled down his cheeks. "Baby girl," he choked out, opening his arms. Maya ran to him, and they held each other in the doorway, both crying, neither speaking. Keisha quietly excused herself to give them privacy. They sat on the couch, her father's arm around her shoulders like she was a little girl again. "I'm so sorry I didn't protect you from this," he said. "I should have seen it. I should have known something was wrong. Daddy, it's not your fault." "I wanted to kill him," Robert admitted, his voice rough. "Standing there at that altar, saying those words to my daughter, I wanted to knock him into next week." Despite everything, Maya felt a small smile. "What stopped you?" "Your Aunt Lorraine and 3 ushers holding me back." He shook his head. Marcus's mama was crying, apologizing to everyone. His father dragged him out the back of the church. There was shouting, people taking sides. It was chaos. And Simone? "Left with Marcus," her father said quietly. The words shouldn't have hurt. Maya already knew they were together, but somehow hearing it confirmed made it more real. "She came by the house this morning," her father continued. "Wanted to get some of her things. I told her she wasn't welcome there anymore. Told her she broke your heart, and she broke this family." "Daddy!" "No, Maya. What she did was unforgivable. She's my daughter, and I'll always love her. But I can't have her in my house right now. Not after what she did to you." Maya leaned her head on her father's shoulder, and they sat in silence, watching the Atlanta skyline through the windows. "You're going to be okay," he finally said. "You're stronger than you know. You got that from your mama. I don't feel strong. Strength isn't about not feeling pain, baby. It's about feeling it and surviving anyway." When her father left, promising to check on her daily, Maya felt something shift inside her. The initial shock was wearing off, replaced by something harder, sharper. Anger. She had been humiliated. betrayed, made a fool of in front of everyone she knew. And Marcus and Simone expected what? Understanding? Forgiveness? No. They had made their choices. Now Maya would make hers. She powered on her phone and before she could second-guess herself, blocked both Marcus's and Simone's numbers. Then she went through her social media and blocked them there too. She deleted photos, unfollowed mutual friends who had been posting about the wedding drama, and changed her relationship status from engaged to nothing at all. Keisha found her sitting on the guest room floor, surrounded by the physical remnants of her former life. Derek had brought back boxes of her clothes, books, and personal items from Marcus's apartment. "You okay?" Keisha asked gently. "I'm done being sad," Maya said, looking up at her friend with determination in her eyes. "I'm done crying over people who didn't value me enough to be honest. They want to be together? Fine. They're together. But I'm not going to waste another minute of my life mourning what they took from me." "That's my girl," Keisha said, sitting down beside her. "So what's the plan?" Maya thought about it. "First, I need to find a new place to live. I can't stay here forever. You can stay as long as you need." "Thank you, but I need my own space." "Second, I'm going back to work. I'm going to throw myself into my job and remember who I was before Marcus. And third," she paused, pulling out her laptop, "I'm taking that promotion I turned down last year." 6 months ago, Maya had been offered a position as program director at a nonprofit organization that worked with at-risk youth in underserved communities. It would have meant more responsibility, more money, and more travel. She had turned it down because Marcus had said he needed her in Atlanta, said he was working toward a partnership at his firm, and needed her support. Now she realized he'd needed her in Atlanta because he was having an affair with her sister and needed to maintain the facade. Maya pulled up her old emails and found the name of the woman who had offered her the position. She began typing. "Dear Mrs. Patterson, I hope this email finds you well. I wanted to reach out regarding the program director position you offered me last year. I know significant time has passed, but if the position is still available, or if similar opportunities have opened up, I would be very interested in discussing them. My circumstances have changed, and I am now in a position to fully commit to the kind of meaningful work your organization does." She hit send before she could overthink it. "What did you just do?" Keisha asked. "Took the first step toward building a new life," Maya said firmly. "One that doesn't include Marcus Williams or Simone Johnson." For the first time since Friday afternoon, Maya felt a spark of something that wasn't pain. It was hope. 3 months later, Maya stood in the lobby of the Community Youth Empowerment Center in downtown Atlanta, reviewing the schedule for the week. As the newly appointed program director, her days were packed with meetings, site visits, grant applications, and direct work with the teenagers the center served. The position Mrs. Patterson had offered her last year had already been filled, but a similar role had opened up at a sister organization. Maya had interviewed, been offered the job within a week, and thrown herself into the work with an intensity that surprised even her. The work was demanding, coordinating after-school programs, mentoring sessions, college prep workshops, and community outreach initiatives for teens from some of Atlanta's most challenging neighborhoods. But it was also deeply rewarding. For the first time in months, Maya felt like herself again. "Ms. Johnson?" A voice pulled her from her thoughts. Tiana, a 15-year-old participant in their mentorship program, stood nearby holding a folder. "Can you look at my college essay draft?" "Absolutely." Maya smiled warmly. "Let's find a quiet spot." They settled in one of the center's small conference rooms, and Maya read through Tiana's essay about overcoming family instability and finding purpose through community service. The writing was raw and honest and powerful. "This is excellent, Tiana," Maya said sincerely. "You're telling your story with real authenticity. Admissions counselors will respond to this." Tiana beamed. "Really? You think I have a shot at Spelman?" I think you have a shot at anywhere you want to go. You're brilliant, hardworking, and resilient. Don't let anyone tell you different. After Tiana left, Maya sat alone in the conference room, thinking about resilience. 3 months ago, she wouldn't have believed she could survive what had happened to her. The humiliation, the betrayal, the very public nature of her heartbreak, it had felt insurmountable. But somehow, she had survived it. More than that, she was beginning to thrive. She still had hard days. Some mornings she woke up and felt the weight of everything all over again. She still avoided certain parts of the city where she might run into Marcus or Simone. She still felt a sharp pain when she saw couples holding hands or heard certain songs that had meant something to them. But those moments were becoming less frequent, less devastating. Her phone buzzed. A text from Keisha. Dinner tonight? Thai place in Midtown? Maya smiled. Sevenad? Perfect. I have news. Maya had moved into her own apartment 6 weeks ago, a 1-bedroom in Virginia Highland, with hardwood floors and large windows that let in beautiful natural light. It was smaller than Marcus's place had been, but it was hers. She had decorated it exactly how she wanted, filled it with plants and art and books, made it a sanctuary. The break from her family had been harder. Her father called weekly, came by monthly, was trying his best to support her while also processing his own feelings about Simone's actions. Maya's aunts and cousins had taken sides, some understanding, some insisting that family should forgive family, all of them meaning well, but not quite understanding the depth of the wound. Maya hadn't spoken to Simone since that day in the church parking lot. She had heard through family that Simone and Marcus were living together now in a condo in Buckhead. Part of Maya wondered if they were happy, if their relationship, built on betrayal and secrecy, could actually work in the light of day. Mostly, though, she tried not to think about them at all. At 7 p.m., Maya walked into the Thai restaurant and found Keisha already seated at their favorite table by the window. Her friend stood and hugged her tightly. You look good, Keisha observed. Like really good. That glow is back. Maya did feel different. She'd started running again, something she'd loved in college but had abandoned over the years. She'd joined a book club at a local bookstore. She'd even been on a couple of dates. Nothing serious, just reminders that she was still a whole person capable of making connections. Over pad thai and spring rolls, Keisha shared her news. She'd been offered a promotion at work that would require relocating to Charlotte for 6 months. I'm thinking about turning it down, Keisha said, watching Maya carefully. Why would you turn it down? Maya asked, immediately understanding. Keisha, no. You are not putting your life on hold for me. You've been through hell, Maya. I don't want to leave you. I'm not in hell anymore, Maya interrupted gently. I'm actually doing okay. Better than okay. And you have been the most incredible friend anyone could ask for, but you cannot sacrifice your career for me. I won't let you. Keisha studied her face. You're sure? I'm positive. When do you leave? 3 weeks. They spent the rest of dinner making plans. How often Keisha would visit, how they'd video chat weekly, how Maya would come to Charlotte for a weekend once Keisha was settled. It felt bittersweet, but also right. Both of them were moving forward. As Maya walked back to her car after dinner, her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. Hello? Maya? It's Mrs. Patterson. Maya's former potential boss. They'd kept in touch occasionally since Maya had started at the Community Youth Empowerment Center. Mrs. Patterson, how are you? I'm well, dear. Listen, I'm calling because an opportunity has come up that I immediately thought of you for. We're launching a new initiative, a pilot program working with young women in foster care, helping them transition to independence. It's a leadership position, lots of autonomy, and it's exactly the kind of work I know you're passionate about. Would you be interested in hearing more? Maya's heart began to race. Absolutely. Wonderful. Can you come by the office tomorrow? Say 10 a.m.? After confirming the details and hanging up, Maya sat in her car for a long moment, a smile spreading across her face. 6 months ago, she had been planning a wedding. Now she was building a career that actually excited her, one that aligned with her values and utilized her strengths. The next morning, Maya dressed in her favorite navy suit and drove to Mrs. Patterson's office. The meeting went even better than she'd hoped. The position would involve creating curriculum, training mentors, securing funding, and directly working with young women aging out of the foster care system. Everything Maya loved about her current job, but with more creative control and impact. "I want you for this role, Maya," Mrs. Patterson said directly. "I've been following your work at the youth center, and I've heard nothing but stellar feedback. You have the skills, the passion, and the credibility. What do you say? When would I start?" "First of the year. That gives you time to wrap up your current projects and transition smoothly." Maya extended her hand. "I'm in." Walking out of that office, Maya felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. Pure, uncomplicated joy. She was so caught up in her excitement that she almost didn't notice the figure standing by her car in the parking lot. Simone. Maya stopped in her tracks, every muscle in her body tensing. Her sister looked different, thinner, tired, her usually impeccable appearance somewhat disheveled. Dark circles shadowed her eyes. "Maya, please don't walk away," Simone said quickly, her voice pleading. "I just need 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking. I have nothing to say to you. Then just listen. Please." Against her better judgment, Maya stayed where she was, arms crossed defensively. Simone took a shaky breath. "I know I don't deserve your time or your forgiveness. I know what I did was unforgivable, but I can't live with myself if I don't at least try to make you understand." "Understand what, Simone?" "That you fell in love with my fiancé and carried on an affair for 6 months? I understand that perfectly." "It wasn't supposed to happen," Simone said, tears already streaming down her face. "Marcus and we were just friends at first. You'd ask me to help with wedding planning, and we'd meet up to discuss vendors or look at venues when you were working late. And somewhere in all those meetings, we started talking about other things, our childhoods, our dreams, our fears, and I started to see him differently." "Stop," Maya said coldly. "I don't want to hear this." "I tried to end it," Simone continued desperately. "Multiple times, so did he. But we kept being drawn back to each other, and I told myself that it would end once you were married, that I could just push these feelings down and be happy for you both. But Marcus couldn't do it. He couldn't stand at that altar and make promises he knew he couldn't keep." "So noble of him," Maya said sarcastically. "What do you want, Simone? Absolution? My blessing? Permission to be happy with the man you stole?" "I want my sister back," Simone sobbed. "I want to stop hating myself every time I look in the mirror. I want to stop having panic attacks at 3 a.m. because I destroyed the most important relationship in my life." "Then you shouldn't have slept with my fiancé." The words hung between them like a slap. Simone wiped at her tears with shaking hands. "Marcus and we're not together anymore. We broke up 6 weeks ago." Maya blinked, surprised despite herself. "What?" "Turns out a relationship built on lies and betrayal doesn't have a very solid foundation," Simone said bitterly. "Who knew? We tried to make it work. God, we tried so hard. But every time we looked at each other, we saw what we'd done to you. The guilt ate us alive. We fought constantly. And eventually we realized that what we thought was love was just selfishness and chemistry and the thrill of something forbidden." Maya didn't know what to say. Some part of her, the part that was still hurt and angry, felt vindicated. But another part, one she didn't want to acknowledge, felt something else. Not sympathy exactly. Maybe just recognition that Simone was suffering too. "I'm sorry that didn't work out for you," Maya finally said, her voice flat. "But it doesn't change what you did. it doesn't erase the humiliation or the betrayal. And it doesn't mean we're just going to go back to being sisters like nothing happened. I know, Simone whispered. I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking you not to hate me forever. Maya looked at her sister, really looked at her, and saw the toll the past 3 months had taken. Simone had always been the beautiful one, the confident one, the one who seemed to glide through life effortlessly. Now she looked broken. I don't hate you, Maya said quietly, surprising herself with the truth of it. I think that's what hurts the most. I want to hate you. It would be so much easier. But you're my sister, and some part of me will always love you, even though I don't like you very much right now, even though I don't trust you, even though I can't imagine a future where we're close again. That's more than I deserve, Simone said. Yeah, Maya agreed. It is. She unlocked her car, and Simone stepped back to let her open the door. Maya, Simone called as Maya slid into the driver's seat. I heard about your new job, the foster care program. Congratulations. You're going to be amazing at it. Maya paused, looking up at her sister. How did you hear about that? Daddy mentioned it. He's really proud of you. We all are. Maya didn't respond. She simply closed the door, started the engine, and drove away, watching Simone grow smaller in her rearview mirror. As she drove through Atlanta, past the gleaming skyscrapers of downtown and the historic neighborhoods she'd known all her life, Maya realized something profound. She had forgiven Marcus and Simone, not because they deserved it, but because she deserved to be free from the weight of carrying that anger. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It didn't mean welcoming them back into her life or pretending it hadn't happened. It simply meant releasing herself from the prison of bitterness. 2 months later, on a crisp January morning, Maya started her new position as director of the foster care transition program. Her office was small but bright, with a window overlooking a community garden where teenagers were already working, despite the cold. Her first meeting was with a 17-year-old named Jasmine, who would be aging out of the system in 6 months. Jasmine sat across from Maya, defensive and guarded, her arms crossed over her chest. I don't need a mentor, Jasmine said flatly. I've been taking care of myself for years. Maya smiled gently. I'm sure you have. That takes incredible strength. But even the strongest people need support sometimes, and that's what this program is. Support, not charity. We want to help you build the life you deserve. What do you know about what I deserve? Jasmine challenged. More than you might think, Maya said honestly. I know what it's like to have your life fall apart, to feel betrayed by people you trusted, to wonder if you'll ever feel whole again. And I know what it's like to rebuild, piece by piece, until you create something even better than what you had before. Something shifted in Jasmine's expression. What happened to you? Maya considered her answer carefully. Someone I loved hurt me very badly. And for a while, I thought that pain would define the rest of my life. But then I realized I had a choice. I could let it destroy me, or I could let it transform me. I chose transformation. And it was that easy? God, no, Maya laughed. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Some days I still struggle, but every day gets a little easier. And now I'm sitting here, in a job I love, talking to you about second chances and new beginnings. A year ago, I never would have believed that was possible. Jasmine uncrossed her arms, leaning forward slightly. So what do I have to do? Show up, Maya said simply. Show up for yourself, for our meetings, for the opportunities we're going to create together. The rest will follow. Over the following weeks and months, Maya threw herself into the program with fierce dedication. She worked with 18 young women transitioning out of foster care, helping them navigate job applications, college enrollment, apartment hunting, and the 1,000 other challenges of early adulthood. She saw herself in many of them, in their fierce independence born from necessity, in their reluctance to trust, in their hunger for something better. And in helping them, she continued to heal herself. Spring arrived, painting Atlanta in shades of pink and green as the dogwoods and azaleas bloomed. Maya celebrated her 33rd birthday with Keisha, who had flown in from Charlotte, Derek, her father, and a few colleagues from work. It was a small gathering, but it was filled with genuine laughter and warmth. Her father pulled her aside as the evening wound down. "Your mama would be so proud of who you've become," he said, his eyes shining. "The way you've handled everything, the way you've turned pain into purpose. Baby girl, you're extraordinary." "Thanks, Daddy," Maya said, hugging him tightly. "You know Simone asked about you," he said carefully. "Wanted to know if you'd be willing to meet for coffee sometime." Maya had been expecting this. She and Simone had exchanged a few brief, cordial text messages over the past months. Happy birthday wishes, updates passed through their father. The raw wound had scabbed over, though the scar remained. "Maybe," Maya said thoughtfully. "Not yet, but maybe someday." "That's fair," her father said. "She's in therapy now, you know, really working on herself. I think she finally understands what she did." Maya nodded, but didn't comment further. Simone's journey was her own. Maya had her own path to walk. A month later, Maya was supervising a weekend workshop for her program participants when she noticed a man watching from the doorway. He was tall, with kind eyes and an easy smile, wearing casual clothes that suggested he wasn't there in any official capacity. During a break, he approached her. "Ms. Johnson, I'm James Mitchell. I run the career mentorship program at the community college. I've heard incredible things about what you're doing here, and I wanted to introduce myself. I think our programs might complement each other well." They spent the next hour discussing potential collaborations, discovering they shared similar philosophies about youth development and community empowerment. James was intelligent, thoughtful, and genuinely passionate about his work. Maya found herself laughing at his stories, engaged in their conversation in a way she hadn't been with anyone in a long time. As he was leaving, James hesitated. "I know this is forward, but would you be interested in continuing this conversation over dinner? Strictly professional," he added quickly, though his eyes suggested he hoped for more. Maya surprised herself by saying yes. Their first dinner led to a second, then a third. James was patient, respectful, and refreshingly honest. He made her laugh. He challenged her ideas. He listened when she talked about her work with genuine interest. When Maya finally told him about what had happened at her almost wedding, because she knew he'd eventually hear about it or find the video online, James listened without judgment. "That must have been devastating," he said simply. "I'm sorry you went through that." "It was," Maya agreed. "But in a strange way, it led me to where I am now, to this work, to this version of myself. I don't know if I would have had the courage to make these changes if I hadn't been forced to rebuild everything from scratch." "That's an incredibly healthy perspective," James observed. "A lot of people would still be mired in bitterness." "Oh, I had my share of bitterness," Maya laughed. "I'm just choosing not to live there anymore." 6 months into her new job, Maya stood before the board of directors presenting the outcomes from her first program cycle. All 18 of her participants had either enrolled in college, started vocational training programs, or secured full-time employment. 15 of them had found stable housing. The success rate far exceeded anyone's expectations. "Ms. Johnson," one board member said, "these results are nothing short of remarkable. What do you attribute this success to?" Maya thought about Jasmine, who was now enrolled at Georgia State studying social work. About Tiana, who had gotten into Spelman with a full scholarship. About each of the young women who had trusted her enough to accept help, who had been brave enough to believe in second chances. "I think it's about seeing people for who they can become, not just who they are right now," Maya said. "And creating space for transformation. These young women didn't need me to save them. They needed someone to believe in them and provide resources and support. The strength was already there. I just helped them access it." After the presentation, Mrs. Patterson pulled her aside. "The board wants to expand the program," triple the number of participants, and they want you to lead it. Maya felt tears prick her eyes. Really? Really. You've proven yourself, Maya. This is just the beginning. That evening, Maya sat on her apartment balcony watching the sun set over Atlanta, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Her phone buzzed with a text from James. Dinner tomorrow to celebrate? She smiled and typed back. It's a date. Looking out over the city she'd always called home, Maya reflected on the journey of the past year. She had been shattered, yes, broken into what felt like irreparable pieces. But she had also been given an opportunity to rebuild herself into something new, something stronger, something more aligned with who she truly wanted to be. She thought about Marcus sometimes, in a detached sort of way, wondering if he had found whatever he was looking for. She thought about Simone less frequently, though when she did, the pain was duller now, manageable. Mostly, though, she thought about the future, about the young women whose lives she would impact, about the potential relationship with James, which felt healthy and genuine in a way she hadn't experienced before, about the person she was becoming, confident, purposeful, whole. Her phone rang, her father's number. Hey, Daddy. Hey, baby girl. Just calling to check in. How did the board presentation go? They're expanding the program, tripling our capacity. That's my daughter. She could hear the pride in his voice. Your mama is smiling down on you right now. I just know it. After they hung up, Maya sat in the gathering darkness, feeling grateful. Not for the pain she'd endured. She wouldn't wish that on anyone. But for the resilience she'd discovered, for the clarity it had brought, for the life she was building from the ashes. A year ago, Marcus had said he married the wrong sister. And in that moment it had felt like the end of Maya's world. Now, looking back, Maya realized he had actually given her an unexpected gift. He had freed her from a life that wasn't quite right, from a future that would have dimmed her light, from a version of herself that was smaller than who she was meant to be. She hadn't been the wrong sister. She had been exactly right, just not for him. And somewhere out there was someone who would be exactly right for her. Maybe it was James. Maybe it was someone she hadn't met yet. Or maybe she would discover that she was complete all on her own. Either way, Maya was no longer afraid. She had walked through fire and emerged transformed. She had faced her worst nightmare and survived. She had learned that she was capable of rebuilding, of forgiving without forgetting, of choosing joy even after devastating heartbreak. As the stars began to appear in the darkening sky, Maya raised her glass of wine in a silent toast, to endings that were really beginnings, to pain that birthed purpose, to the beautiful, complicated, redemptive journey of becoming whole. The city lights of Atlanta twinkled below her, full of possibility. And Maya smiled, ready for whatever came next.